Hi there, Coach Paige, aka Ultimate Lady Badass. So I know there's going to be a lot of you out there thus far who have probably started to buy an Ultimate sandbag for your first time. So a lot of the questions we get is, number one, which ones to buy, and then really where to start. And there's tons of resources on the website. There's a blog even called Start Here. But maybe if you happen to land upon this video, this will also help you. So I would say that most commonly I've got most of my ladies in particular purchasing a power bag and or a force bag or a strength bag. And gentlemen, more than likely you're starting off with the force or the strength. Power bags can be filled to 25, 35 pounds. I really love my force bag at about 45 pounds. And the strength bag for beginners probably starts at 55, and today I have mine at 65. So with that said, where should you start? Well, what we teach in our workshop, our introductory workshop when you're first learning how to use this implement correctly, is really just how to pick it up from the ground. Essentially, we're teaching or starting everybody off with learning how to do a hinge with their Ultimate sandbag. And this is important. The reason why we start here is because now we can start getting it up into the front load position. We can get it into the fist load position. Once we get it up to that position, then we can get it into a press position. So there's a lot of things that we can do with the bag once we're able to move the implement from a different body position. So rather than keeping it down here with the arms extended, arms long, we can start putting it up into these upper positions, fist load, front load, in order to get it potentially overhead as well. So we teach this with using the neutral grip handles first and foremost. Okay? And the reason we do this is because it puts your hand in a neutral facing position. You won't really see that too often with any other implements or tools. So for here, when we're grabbing those neutral grip handles, we want to feel like we're being able to take the slack out of that nylon and pull from left to right. So we're creating this outward pull effect, which really starts to tap in from that grip strength and starts to go up the chain into the shoulder and starts to connect me to my upper T-spine on the back side. So again, if I get into a good hinge, so those of you who are familiar with the deadlift, get into a good hinge position, grip and rip the sandbag handles apart, and then you're just gonna perform your hinge movement from there. So this is 25 pounds. For me, being advanced, it's really not that heavy of a load, so I would probably work a higher rep range. So being able to start with an implement that already provides some feedback so that you can actually perform progressive overload. So what I want to do is make sure it's not resting on my feet, make sure I'm not rounded with my spine, nor am I blown out through the back. I want to find a neutral position with the spine, grip and rip from left to right, push my 3 feet through the floor in order to drive my hips forward to stand up nice and tall with my hinge, take my gaze to the floor, hinge again, and then stand up. So again, if you've done hinges with kettlebells, barbells, dumbbells, what other implement, the movement pattern is the same. It's just understanding how to use your hands, that grip strength, to connect up to the upper T-spine. Once we start getting proficient with our hinges, trying to maybe use a different load, heavier load, slightly different bags. These ones are going to be wider grip handles, wide handles. These are going to be a little bit more narrow. Once I progress from there, I'm going to start working on my power clean. But before you even do the power clean, again, we teach at our workshop the high pull, okay? So I've got to get that hinge to an upright row and then be able to decelerate the weight back down. So I'm up quick, catch strong, lock it out at the bottom in a hang clean. Up, quick, and back down. I'm using the power of my hips to get the bag right about here, and then once it passes my hip joint, then it's just big elbows pulling back and wide, back and wide. So as always, when you're doing your power cleans and trying to work on your high pulls, start with the bag off the ground, slightly hovering above the feet. That's going to create some good tension through the core. Grip and rip from side to side. Push through the feet, up, and control it on the way down. So again, we want a nice slow deceleration. So as I get proficient with getting that high pull move, Now I can start getting it into those front-loaded positions that you see for our max lunge, that you see for our rotational presses, and for a lot of the other drills that we're going to want to be doing with the ultimate sandbag. Okay, so set back up just like you would for your hinge. Bags hovering just above the feet, grip and rip from side to side, high pull, and then it lands right in that front rack, front clean position. Okay, control it, reset. Up, got that high pull, and now here it is in my front rack position. Typically what we see in that front rack, I don't want my arms to start dropping down to the sides of my body. The bag will have a tendency to start pulling me into that rounded back. That's not really an optimal position when we're working with loads, progressive overloading and adaptations. We want to be able to keep the elbows up and create this shelf. And if you start looking at me from the side, oftentimes it looks like a plank, just like if I was parallel with the ground laying on the floor. So it's our standing plank position, core integrity, pelvis integrity, lumbo-pelvic hip complex, all nice and strong. But my favorite one, you guys, is really mastering that fist clean to fist position, because this is where a lot of your overhead pressing movements are going to come into play. And I, for one, really love the way I can feel that in my upper body, really working great to stabilize my T-spine, and then also assist me with a lot of my rotational movements and help me feel my obliques working to do so. So, the fist to clean is very much technique, and for many people it can take up to a week or 2 weeks just to master it. So you guys, practice makes better, practice makes progress. There's no such thing as perfection. I still have reps that don't always translate over on that first one, okay? So again, start from the top. What do we say? Bag needs to be off the floor, hanging. Arms are stick straight, lock the elbows, grip and rip. Nice flat back, push through the feet, up, into hip extension, whoops. And there's that front-loaded clean position. Okay, now let's work the fist. So, like I said, grip and rip with the handles, elbows are straight, back is straight, up, and then get underneath. Get underneath that bag. So now the bag is resting on my knuckles. Now, I know it's in a really good position because I can move the bag away from me and or bring it back. So it's not starting to rest on my chest with my hands forward. It's on my fists, and I can start to move it away from my body because it's resting just like this. And now as I get ready to punch overhead, I can also practice pulling down. So now what does that look like? Feels like a chin up as it's coming out of that position, and it feels like a really good overhead press position when it's up at the top. So let's get it back to that fist loaded position, okay? Start in that hang clean, strong through your feet, spread through the ground for the big toe, peak toe, heel, grip and rip, up through the hips to that fist loaded position, okay? And again, I'm gonna test myself, bring the bag out and away. Good. So now I can, like I said, be ready to press the bag overhead. Think about pulling it back down, just like you're doing your chin up, get the chin over the bag, press overhead, and then pull the bag back down. Now, the awesome thing we've got going on right now is Joel, he's started our thruster challenge. There's so many different ways you can do a thruster with a sandbag, and there's so many different ways you can do a power clean to an overhead press position, which is why in our level 1, we have our clean to press challenge. But now, just with learning how to deadlift it, get that high pull to the power clean, I already have 2 exercises I can work on that can also blend themselves together to create a mini flow or a small sequence, right? So now I can start working that full clean to press position. Okay, now I can start to create that metabolic demand, that metabolic output, and if I'm short on time, like some people might be these days, just trying to get that quick 20-30 minutes of a workout, then I've opened up the door to so many other variables. But that's really your foundation. That's where you want to start. If you have any questions, put some comments below, shoot me a DM. I'd love to help you out. Thanks for tuning in.